Hello, Rocky Mountain Conference. Happy Advent to you all. We know that you are all doing important work in your churches and in your communities during this season of waiting and expectation as we await the Christ child. Some of you might be using the Luke passage from the lectionary this Sunday, and if you are, I just want to share some reflections on it. Luke opens this little section with John preaching to the people, and he calls them the brood of vipers. And then the people say, "What should we do, John?" And he goes on to tell them how it takes all of us, it takes our words, it takes our actions and our relationships and our generosity to spread the message that John is offering. And so he ends his little sermonette with this little part about how he's not the one, but that there's somebody else who's coming who's even more important than him, and that person will clear the threshing floor and burn the chaff with an unquenchable fire. And then the passage ends with many other exhortations, he proclaimed the good news to them. So I always think this is so funny because it's not really super good news when he's talking about like burning people with the unquenchable fire. It's hardly bells and carols and sleighs and things. But it's a great reminder to us all because we might think that there are too many other voices competing with ours during this season. Voices of bad news, of consumerism, voices of fear and anxiety and violence. But if you think that those voices are louder than yours, then you'd be wrong. Because John reminds us that there's no reason to sugarcoat the good news. This is the one time of year when the Christ story is in front of everybody. It's everywhere. You hear it in the stores and you see it in the Christmas trees, and everywhere you go, you're thinking about what it is that your neighbor might need, that your family member might need. What a way to walk through the world, right? Everybody knows it's Christmas time, so seize it. Seize the moment, preach it. Accept your call, my friends, to preach the good news with joy. The world definitely and desperately needs to hear the good news that's in our hearts. So preach it. Good news of love being stronger than fear. Good news of how radical welcome changes lives. Good news of how God is indeed with us, Emmanuel. Preach it. Preach it in your words. Preach it in your actions. Preach it in your grace and your generosity. Preach it from your dinner tables. Preach it from your holiday parties. Preach it from your offices. Preach it from your shopping aisles. Preach it from your hearts. Preach it from your pulpits. And with many exhortations, I invite you this season to join Wild John and proclaim the good news to the people. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Amen.